Guys, talk to me nice.
Welcome back to Sports Tea. Welcome back to Sports Tea.
Talk to me nice. Nice. Calling, guys, talk to me nice. Calling, guys, talk to me nice. Talk to me nice.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Sports Tea. Oh my gosh, I know it's super late. There's probably nobody awake. It's okay. I just wanted to come through and just hang out with you guys for a little bit. Let's see. Looks like we have one person watching so far. Welcome on in. As you guys load into the stream, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video if you enjoy the content, share it with your family and friends, share it on your social media. This morning or this evening, I know that some of you are watching in different area codes and different time zones. So thank you for staying up either late or early with me. Like I said, welcome on in. Thank you guys. Salute to everybody that's in the chat. Shout out to all of the members of Sports Tea and welcome on in. This morning we have a pretty interesting show. Luka Doncic, he signed his extension with the Lakers. So this finally happened. This has been speculated about for a couple of months now. And Obviously, I have said on this channel that I didn't think that Luka should sign this extension. I didn't think that he should sign with the Lakers. I mean, but why wouldn't he? A player like Luka, a guy that, is subjected to maybe not showing up in shape often. And granted, he's gotten himself in shape this season. Hopefully, this does something for his confidence out there on the court and can propel the Lakers further, at least in the postseason. But I mean, he's a guy that kind of wants to do what he wants, and the Lakers put up with that. So I guess it's a match for him and the Lakers. It makes sense. To have to play alongside LeBron James, to have to work with JJ Redick is just absolutely ridiculous. Who would want to sign up for that? But perhaps there's plans to fire JJ. Perhaps there's plans to fire Rob. Perhaps, hopefully, LeBron James will be leaving the Lakers at the end of this season. Hopefully, what the Lakers have decided is, hey, there is an expiration date on you playing with us. So whether you want to retire this year or not, you're going to retire a Laker. So you're going to retire from the Lakers. So you will be fired from the Lakers, let go at the end of this season, or hopefully at the trade deadline, since you want to go so bad. But Luka has signed his extension. They had a celebratory press conference. They talked about this upcoming season. They really talked about how monumental of an extension this was. Rob Pelinka, Luka Doncic, they're on stage. They're addressing the press. And here's what they had to say together. So it starts off with Rob, and he's just really showering Luka Doncic with praise, calling him, the best player that is in the world right now, in the galaxy or something like that, he says. So I want you guys to hear it for yourselves, and then we'll react together.
Good morning. Actually, 6 months ago to the day, the Los Angeles Lakers chose Luka Doncic through a trade where he came to our franchise. Today, Luka Doncic chose the Los Angeles Lakers, and that is a monumental moment in Lakers history. And we could not be more grateful for you choosing this partnership. The best young basketball player in the universe joins, for the long-term future, the best sports franchise on the globe. So truly an exciting day on behalf of Jeannie Buss and Mark Walter and Coach Redick and a lot of Luka's teammates, Marcus, Gabe, Maxey, DeAndre, that are here today. Just want to let you know how incredible of a moment this is for us. Today wouldn't have happened without Laura Beth and Bill Duffy. I've been in the basketball circles since 1998, and I don't think I've come across partners that work as hard with as much integrity to partner with a franchise like they have. So thank you guys for helping us create this moment for Luka and his family. So just really pleased to be here, and I'll let Luka give an opening statement before we take some questions.
Yeah, first of all, I was speaking Spanish because I know there's so many Lakers Spanish fans. Muchas gracias por tenerme. Es un orgullo de estar aquí. Primero quiero dar las gracias a todos los Lakers, a Ginny, a JJ, a Rob, a Mark. Me han recibido en manos abiertas y así que estoy muy agradecido. And now, that's it. No English? Okay. I just want to say thank you. Like I said in Spanish, you guys welcome me with open arms. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jeannie, JJ, Rob. The whole organization really opened me with open arms. And honestly, I can't wait to get started.
Hey, Luka, Rob just mentioned, 6 months ago and kind of being here in different circumstances and everything that was going through your mind. How have these last couple months been for you? And was there a certain time where you thought, yeah, this is the place that I want to be? These are the reasons why, up to the point where you made the decision that you made?
I was kind of thinking, even obviously not at the moment when I got traded, but later on when I started playing, I wanted to be here. Like I said, this is an amazing organization. We have a trust in each other. So I decided pretty quick.
Luka, Jim Hill, KCAL 9 News. Welcome. Congratulations. When you look at all the banners that are here and all the names, the great names that are on the walls, how does it make you feel to know that you are expected to put up more banners and your name on the walls here?
It's an honor, playing for this organization. Many, many great players played here. So obviously I want to add one more up there. So that's what we're working for.
Luka, good to see you. Congratulations. You mentioned in kind of the post you put out on social media, championships being important to you here. You guys lost in the first round. You look like a different person since then. What do you feel like you're going to bring to that championship pursuit next year? And how do you feel like the team is constructed to try to achieve that goal?
Yeah, honestly, I think we have a great team. We have what we need to compete for the championship. I'll bring brought try to win every game, no matter what. And, we got some new great guys being on the team. And, we're going to go for it.
Hey, Luka. Congratulations as well. What was it specifically about being a Laker in your kind of brief experience last season that excited you the most? Were there moments, were there feelings about maybe the spotlight, the stage in Los Angeles that really attracted you?
Honestly, my first and the moment was when my first game. I didn't play for 5-6 games. I don't know exactly how much. But the way they received me, the fans, the team, it was unbelievable. In that moment, I felt something different. So I was really excited.
Luka, also congratulations on the extension. It's been widely talked about how you played a part, in the recruitment of some of the additions, specifically DeAndre and Marcus. It's also been said that wasn't something you were big on early in your career in terms of the recruiting. Why was that important for you to do with the Lakers this offseason specifically?
To build a team to win the championship. I think we had two great guys. I played against them before, never with them. So now I'm happy they're on my team.
Luka, Brad Turner from the LA Times. Congratulations to you and Rob. Knowing that this organization is about winning championships and they've had great players here, how easy did that make your decision to sign the extension?
Yeah, obviously, like I said, being a Laker is an honor, and I wanted to be here. So obviously, when you look up here, so many great names and what they achieved, I want to be up there too one day.
Luka, congratulations. I'm curious too for you. First, how do you plan to celebrate maybe today, this evening?
So I thought that what was really super interesting was just how grateful Rob Pelinka is for Luka Doncic. I don't know if you guys heard that in his voice. He talked about him being the greatest. He talked about Luka Doncic being like his team, being like the best team he's ever worked with. And he's been in the league since 1998. To me, this is a direct shot at LeBron James. I can't help but think that it is. And I mean, when you take a look at this press conference, and if you watch it, LeBron James, Bronny James, they are the only ones missing from Luka's celebratory press conference. All of his teammates are there to celebrate him, to support him, signing this extension, which was huge for his career, especially given everything that happened with the Mavericks. So Luka was down and out this season. Earlier this season, you see him hugging LeBron on the court when he had to return to Dallas. What kind of friendship is that? What kind of teammate is that? More, and even more so than LeBron not being there. So we know he's a diva. We know he's a narcissist. We know he's upset that Luka's taking over the team, that he's ripped it from him. We know that he's upset that Luka Doncic has been able to come into the Lakers and do what he's been doing for years in a matter of months. He's come to the Lakers, completely taken over the team, traded for the players he's wanted already. His management team is putting, you know, their team, their players on the Lakers with Luka. They've taken over the franchise. It's not about clutch sports. It's about Bill Duffy and Luka Doncic. LeBron era is over. This is the Los Luka Lakers. That's what it is now. And he is making himself so much more likable than LeBron James has ever. He got up there and spoke to them in Spanish. He addressed them beautifully. I think that he is endearing to fans. That's why the Mavericks fans were really upset that he left. Luka is a guy that knows he doesn't play good defense, admits to it, takes accountability and responsibility, maybe not accountability in the way of solving for it and actually being a better defender, but he's admitted to the flaws. He's not just blaming his other teammates. So he is just someone that seems more likable, and Laker fans seem to already be loving him and wanting to move on from LeBron James, hoping that him and Bronny are traded by the midseason. Bronny and LeBron not showing up to Luka's extension conference was basically they were saying a lot. They were saying a lot. LeBron James is doing his whole passive aggressive bit, and then he's dragging his son into it. It's like, do you even care about Bronny's career at all? Or does it even matter how he's perceived in the league because you're just going to bully all of, anything that he gets, anything that he achieves? It's going to be because you forced it on the league and on teams. What this says is that not only does LeBron James not care about Luka Doncic, the Lakers looking and at least appearing to be a good teammate and wanting to pass the torch. So he's been talking about passing the torch. What happened to that? He's a fake. He's a phony. He lied. LeBron James is a pathological liar who's talked on and on and on about passing the torch. And Luka Doncic comes there, 25-year-old, gets himself in shape this summer, looks respectable, and LeBron James won't pass the torch to him. He still won't pass his torch. He still won't stop forcing us to talk about him and only him. He still won't stop making everything about him. Dan Patrick, he chimed in on Bronny and LeBron not showing up. He mainly scorched the earth on Bronny for not being there because, he's not even a real NBA player. You could at least show up for Luka Doncic. You're the star of your team when you don't even belong in the NBA. So here's what Dan had to say.
Luka signs a contract extension, 3-year deal. I think it's 2 years and then an option. And you had a lot of players who were there. LeBron was not there, although he FaceTimed Luka. Here's the one curious thing about all of that. Now, LeBron, I think, was posting that he was playing golf at the time on vacation. I'm guessing that he knew this was going to happen. But okay, you're on vacation. The one person who I thought should have been there was his son. Like Bronny James, if he wants to stay longer after LeBron leaves, that's your teammate. That's what was surprising. Bronny James should have been there. You're the last guy on the roster. You should be there. Show support. It just felt like, hey, my dad's LeBron. We got a vacation. I mean, that's where you say, Dad, that's my team. That's my teammate. And if LeBron doesn't want to be there, it just feels like there's, a game going on, the passive aggressive, who knows, European League, back and forth. I'm working out. out at the old Clippers facility, and here we go. You should be there. It's important. But as it was pointed out to me from somebody with the Lakers yesterday, Luka is the face of the Lakers. LeBron's the face of the league, and they both play on the same team. But as I was told last night, hey, make no mistake about it, it's Luka's team. And LeBron knows that. But there's nothing else he can do. Because if he was going to do something, he wouldn't have signed that contract extension. He would have said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bookend this. I'm going back to Cleveland, and I'm going to win another championship there. If it's about winning and you want to have the final say in all of this, you could have. You don't want to lose that address. You want to be in Los Angeles. All your business ties are there. Your family's there. You're there. Be there to support Luka. Now, I know it's not a big deal, but with LeBron, it's always a big deal. Everything becomes a bigger deal because he wasn't there. Bronny should have been there. Dad, I'm going to cut short this vacation. I need to be there. I think it's really important. As LeBron, if that's my son and he said that, I'd be like, all right, son, you're right. You should be there. But if LeBron FaceTime Luka, Luka's fine with it. I mean, I don't think there's any acrimony there, but I think it's awkward. But I also, when this trade happened, I said, if Luka wants to be the best player in the league, all he needs to do is look at LeBron James and what LeBron does to get ready for a season. If Luka does that, Luka can be the best player in the game. And we've seen what's happened this offseason. He's gotten in his best shape. And he's there for a couple more years. He's probably going to be eventually the first player to make $80 million in a season, almost $1 million a game. That'll be the next contract here. Probably in 2 years when he signs another extension, it'll be for probably close to $80 million.
Dan Patrick, I mean, he nailed it. What else can I really say to this, guys? Dan Patrick absolutely nailed it. He cooked LeBron James. He cooked Bronny. The father-son duo cooked on this. There's no way you don't go and support your teammate. LeBron James, there's no way you don't close out your tenure with the Lakers in a positive way. Why do you want this kind of negative attention? Why do you want the relationship with the Lakers to be so bad on your way out? Why do you want to take the shine away from Luka Doncic and this amazing moment? The Lakers just got younger. This could be your final year to help them win a title. Salute to Teflon Alexander for the $9.99 super chat. Sports Bay is my favorite new journalist. Thank you so much. Seriously though, guys, I really I think Bronny James he's complicit. So everybody can sit there and blame his dad, they can say whatever they want to say. We can blame JJ Redick, we can blame Adam Silver. Everybody is responsible for themselves, right? And so Bronny is a part of this, and I'm not just going to let him off the hook because he's LeBron's kid. I'm not. He's sitting there in this golf cart smiling. Look at him. Why are you on the golf course? You don't belong there. You haven't spent 20 years in the league. You're not retiring. Oh, I get it. LeBron James is probably so awful at golf that the only one that he wants to play with is his son, because it'll stay just between the two of them. I think that LeBron James is a complete disgrace to the league, to the NBA. He is ruining his legacy on his way out of the league. He could at least show up for appearances, show up and like, who's going to believe that you were a good teammate? How could anybody believe that? How could anybody believe that you cared about being a Laker? This is a slap in the face to Laker fans. You never show up for them. LeBron James, when he has a moment to right a wrong or to show us that he has even a modicum of class and decency, he always goes the other way. Every time, without fail, without question. But you guys heard it. Rob Pelinka said that Luka was a monumental player, okay? The team that they have here today, those key words that he used, not LeBron and Bronny. It just feels to me like LeBron wants the Michael Jordan treatment, where teams want him to just take up a roster spot as the star player. It's like he wants the Kobe Bryant treatment, to be able to stay on the Lakers into perpetuity and just steal money from the Lakers as if he was drafted there, as if he even has a genuine relationship with the ownership, when he's made it very clear that he doesn't care about them or their interests or their future. He doesn't give a damn about it. He's come out through Rich Paul saying, hey, we don't care about the Lakers' future. We're going to explore other options. That's exactly why John Stockton said, LeBron just takes the helicopter to the top. He doesn't think about how he can get better, how he can get his team better, and how they can win differently. It's all about how can I jump to the next ship? How can I jump to the next team to try to manufacture a win? He wants to sit there on the Lakers, steal money from the Lakers, turning it into some sort of circus or a babysitting service for that matter. Or shall I say daycare for Bronny and soon to be Bryce James. But supposedly LeBron James did actually congratulate Luka on the extension. So supposedly he did congratulate him. I have an article here from ESPN actually, where Shams Charania he's reporting that LeBron James actually congratulated Luka Doncic on the new deal. So I'll show it to you guys real quick. One moment. Alrighty. So, as you can say, sources, aka Shams, LeBron congratulated Luka Doncic on new deal. As the ink was still drying on the 3-year, $165 million contract extension Luka Doncic signed with the Los Angeles Lakers on Saturday, Doncic's phone started buzzing with the player who has been the face of the franchise the past 7 seasons, LeBron James. James congratulated Doncic on the deal with a video call. Sources familiar with the exchange confirmed to ESPN after the contract was signed and before Doncic participated in a news conference at the Lakers practice facility Saturday. James was not among the half dozen teammates to attend the news conference or the group trip from LA to Las Vegas on Saturday night to attend the Backstreet Boys concert at Sphere. But the call continued to support James has shown for Doncic since the Lakers shocked the basketball world by trading for the 26-year-old superstar in February. Luka has been my favorite player in the NBA for a while now, James said on February 4th in his first public comments after his longtime teammate Anthony Davis was traded to Dallas to acquire Doncic. When asked about Doncic's impending contract decision following the Lakers' first-round loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, James told ESPN he wanted Doncic to stick around, but he would not attempt to sway his decision. I hope, obviously, he stays long-term, James told ESPN on April 30th. Laker fans effing love him here. LA has accepted him. We love him as a teammate, as a brother, but ultimately he's got to make a decision for him. Shit, I ain't going to be here around much longer. And obviously we know about the comments about how, LeBron wants to compete for a championship and they're in win now mode, blah, 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 blah. So, I get it. We have to do damage control, right? LeBron is going to come out and do damage control. That's what he does. He throws the rock and hides his hand. That's the person he is. He has these passive aggressive things that he does, whether it's on social media, in the news, wherever. And he sends these subliminal shots and then he sort of backpedals. And so, he wanted to make sure he congratulated him at least. He doesn't want to look like a hater, right? Rob Pelinka, he answered a question at the news conference during Luka's extension. And, I want you guys to actually see how Rob responded to this question about LeBron. They asked him pretty much if he expected LeBron James to retire a Laker. That was the question. And he was very unfazed. Obviously, he knew he was going to be asked the question about LeBron, or he was prepared for it. But honestly, the Lakers seem completely and totally unbothered by LeBron James. They don't care what he's doing. They've resigned that, maybe he'll be here through the rest of the year if they can't get rid of him at the midseason deadline. But they're just ready to move on, and they don't care what he's doing. And I want you guys to see it. I want you guys to see the body language on Rob Pelinka. They want him gone. They want him out of here. The language is, he's stiff. He's tense. He looks like he doesn't give a damn about LeBron James or Rich Paul. And he just wants to be done with clutch sports. And just, he wants to get out from under this horrible regime that's been LeBron James, the king. The supposed king. I want you guys to see what Rob Pelinka had to say when asked about LeBron James. Like I said, there's quite a bit to unpack here.
Rob, you mentioned LeBron in your last answer. Obviously, another significant contract stipulation. News of the offseason was him opting into year 23. Rich Paul put out a statement to ESPN. I reported that he also told you about that statement before he put it out, that LeBron and his camp will be monitoring the moves. Do you have any sense of how they feel about how the teams come together thus far, since that statement was made in late June? And do you anticipate LeBron finishing his career with the Lakers?
Yeah, so all the interactions we've had with LeBron and his camp, Rich in particular, have been positive and supportive. So very professional, and Rich has been great. The dialogue with him has been open and constant. So that, to answer that question. And then in terms of LeBron's career, I think the number one thing we have to do there is respect he and his family's decision in terms of how long he's going to play. I think that's first and foremost. And we want to respect his ability to come up with his timetable on that. I think that's really important. But if he had a chance to retire a Laker, that would be great.
Luka, when you were kind of thrust into this team last February, you talked a lot about wanting to do the right thing, and maybe you weren't as vocal or as assertive because you've never been in this situation before. How differently have you moved, I guess, as a leader within this organization in the last few months, now that you're going to be here, you're going to be a part of it? What have your conversations been like with your teammates and things like that?
Obviously with Rob, I talk more about the guys we want to get, but the players, that's going to develop, I think, in preseason, when we're all together and talking, in person. So I think that's more happening in the preseason.
Rob, for you, obviously this is something you guys have had your mind on since acquiring Luka 6 months ago. What does it do for the ethos of the organization to get him on this extension, and I guess the flexibility you guys do have, moving forward next offseason, even the season beyond that?
Yeah, I think, make no mistakes, we're in win championship now mode always. But I think, don't want to bore people with apron talk. I think that the basketball public has enough of that. But in the new system that we're in, having optionality is key to building teams. I think we have seen some teams get stuck in the aprons, and once you're in them, it's hard to get out of them. And we've been very intentional with keeping our optionality to make now moves if there's good now moves to make, or to have sort of our flexibility in the future. But I say all that, that the optionality is there for us to use now if the right move comes its way. We want to make smart moves, but to be in a position of flexibility versus being stuck is really promising for how we're going to build this team moving forward.
Luka, you've addressed why you've wanted to get into such great shape this offseason. What physically and mentally have you actually been doing to get into the shape you're in?
Like I said, for first month, I didn't play basketball at all. We're more focused in other things. So I think that kind of sparked, first 5 days was really hard without basketball. I actually didn't know what to do, but after it was easier. But physically, weightlifting, balancing, those stuff. And then after 1 month, we started playing basketball too.
I think it's important to, Luka's done all the work, but it's important to have a support system around you to help you do the great work. And just want to take time to recognize the work that Luka's team, Have and Anjay in particular, have done. They've dedicated to the process to help him be great. Laura Beth monitoring it, Bill Duffy looking over it. But the system around him has been so supportive and has worked seamlessly with our sports performance staff led by Dr. Sims. So it's been a group effort, and all of us need each other to be great. And we're going to continue to support Luka when he leads by example with the work he's doing to be great on the court. It inspires all of us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Just absolutely disgusting. Did you see how phony JJ Redick is? Oh my gosh. Did you see how he like quickly, congratulated him? Everybody had this genuine, handshake or, hug for him. I just think that like where the hell was LeBron and Bronny? So disrespectful, so rude, so privileged. So I'm above here, everyone else is down here. It's the king and then everyone else is the peasants. I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to compete in All-Star. I don't have to play, I don't have to show up. I can just take 2 weeks off for personal reasons. I'm stepping away from social media. You're upset about social media and then you take 2 weeks away from the game, a leave of absence. LeBron's always above everybody else. Shows up to All-Star, not even in uniform, just has to be different, just has to row in a different direction from the core and what's good for the team. And now, after 7 years with the Lakers, after all that they've done, drafting your bum son, LeBummy, LeBricky, Carlton Banks, they do all this for LeBron. They brought every player that he asked for. He doesn't care. He doesn't have a care in the world about it. It's just take, take, take. I just thought it was really fitting that Rob Pelinka, he said, we're just going to let LeBron figure this out with his family, aka retire this year or you're out of here anyway. Doesn't matter. The conversations have been very positive. He used the word professional. He didn't say that Clutch Sports and LeBron James were the best group that he's ever worked with. He didn't say any of that. The conversations have been positive and supportive. Yeah, we support you leaving. You want to leave the franchise? We support it. We're not giving up anything for you to leave. So you're either going to play your contract out, be on your best behavior. Don't be on your best behavior because we're just going to ignore you. The Lakers have given LeBron James the silent treatment. They are not responding to any of his antics. They don't care. LeBron James trying to still compete for a championship when he drafted his bum son to the Lakers. When you go ahead and draft LeBummy James to the Lakers, that you can't be possibly serious about winning a championship. There's no way. Those aren't actions or behaviors that signal that. So LeBron James, like I said, is a liar. Don't believe it. But why do you guys think that the father-son duo is MIA? I think that it's because LeBron James is jealous of Luka Doncic. He wanted to make the story about why he didn't show up. That is the story, right? The story is why he didn't show up, not that Luka just signed a max extension. Not that the Lakers are super excited about moving forward in their future. None of that, but the story is LeBron and Bronny. He dragged his son, sabotaging how his teammates are going to view him. What, LeBron James thinks that people are just going to love this? People on the Lakers are they're going to think that it's so great that Bronny didn't show up, and they're going to look at him at the end of the bench and thinking he's getting special treatment. And for what? I think it's pathetic. Like I said, LeBron James, Clutch Sports, complete disgrace to the NBA. They have done something to the league where they have tarnished just what it means to be a superstar in this league. I feel that they have brought the NBA down, and the NBA is digging itself out of a hole, not necessarily a financial hole, but a hole of integrity. They're digging themselves out of a hole where somebody could create a new league and then the NBA could be over. Somebody could create a new league that delivers a better product than what the NBA delivers, and poof, the NBA is gone, right? And I think there's been a lot of chatter about LeBron James actually starting his own league. There's been chatter about him trying to own a team. And that, it really brings us to, the next topic. I want to play some sound for you of Doug Gottlieb, because he completely cooks LeBron James and his character. I mean, he goes off talking about how LeBron James basically wants to ruin the NBA. He doesn't care about the Lakers, never did, only cares about himself and people he went to high school with. I want you guys to hear this for yourself. It is an indictment on LeBron James and his legacy as a Laker specifically. And I think that it's really telling that this is an opinion that it makes so much sense. It fits. I don't think it's just a narrative. I think that there's a lot of fire to this smoke that Doug Gottlieb is cooking up here. And like I said, I want you guys to listen. We're going to react together. But yeah, let's hear it.
There was this picture of LeBron, Maverick Carter, his agent, and Nikola Jokic, his agent, on a boat. And there's lots of what are they talking about? Is LeBron going to Denver? Is Jokic coming to LA? What's going on? Then, I don't know, it was yesterday or earlier today. I think it was yesterday. It came out that the conversation was in regards to Maverick Carter starting a league, some international league, where you have men's teams and women's teams, and it'll be like Live Golf, only for the NBA. Like, wow, that's genius, right? Everybody takes an idea. And
you know what, guys? I actually want to go back. I want to go back for a moment, because there was something else that I saw online that it was so scorched earth. Okay. I don't know if you guys have actually heard, have you guys heard from this podcast? I forget the name, but it's Aaron Torres and Jason Martin. These two guys, they're pretty good. I actually enjoy them. They come on late night, I believe, on Fox. I don't watch them all the time, but when I stumble across something that seems interesting from their channel, I take a look. And honestly, Jason Martin, he went off on LeBron James. And this is something I want you guys to hear before we get into Doug Gottlieb, only because I just think that this is this is something that LeBron James fans need to hear. This is something LeBron needs to hear. So I don't think their channel gets enough love. I don't think it gets enough clicks and views. So I want to spread this message, because Jason Martin told LeBron James exactly what he needed to hear, the way he needed to hear it. And it's a message that I think is just so it's so spot on. So let me play this for you guys. Like I said, it's just so crazy. Hold on a second, guys. Let me get this for you, because it is a good one. So the guy's name is Jason Martin. Here is the graphic for you guys listen to them. Let's see. Bear with me 1 second, guys.
Saturday was actually, in my opinion, about the Los Angeles Lakers, their future, and also their present. So Luka Doncic obviously has been a Laker for 5, 6, 7, 8 months now, whatever it was traded in February. And on Saturday, signed a 3-year, $165 million extension. Right? That was the big story when he was traded to the Lakers. The Mavs were a little bit questionable about wanting to give him that big long-term extension. The Lakers not afraid. They give him the $165 million extension. By the way, in the same week that, of course, he graced the covers of Men's Health. So Luka's in the best shape of his life. He gets a big deal. And as part of the press conference, basically every Laker of note was there, including, by the way, not just JJ Redick, the head coach, not just Rob Pelinka, the GM, but DeAndre Ayton, who just became a Laker this offseason, Marcus Smart, who just became a Laker this offseason, Adu Thero, who was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers in the second round of the NBA draft this past June.
Well, of course. I mean, why would every Laker not be there?
Well, you can ask the chosen one that, J Mart, because there was one notable Laker that was not there. That was number 23, LeBron James, who, no, there was not a family emergency. No, there was not a previous commitment of note. According to his Instagram feed, he was just playing golf today. LeBron James. So what do you make, J Mart, of LeBron James being the only notable member of the Los Angeles Lakers that was not at Luka Doncic's press conference on Saturday?
I make of it that LeBron James wanted to be noticeable by his invisibility. He wanted people to take note of the fact that he wasn't there and talk about that. I told you when this happened this afternoon, when I first saw the news, I mean, it was just like, we're going to have to talk about this, but it's not particularly interesting that Luka's going to stay a Laker. I assumed that he was going to, he left a little bit of money on the table, but he's going to be able to recoup that down the line. He's betting on himself. He's kind of recruited some people there. This was a foregone conclusion in my estimation. So it wasn't a particularly meaty topic, except for the jilted ex-lover that still wants everything to be about him. And because it's not, we're seeing workout photos with the Clippers logo in the background. We're seeing weird tweets. We're seeing, I don't have anything to talk about when we're at Summer League. We're seeing all these various things. And now we're seeing this very conspicuous absence. And there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that it was calculated to make sure that there was a lot of evidence that his absence was not for any particular reason. That's why we found out he was playing golf all day. He made sure everyone saw that. So it wasn't because, you think that it's maybe there was a death in the family or something serious that could have happened. You never know why he might not have made it. He might have tried. Maybe his flight was delayed. No, he's playing golf. And he made sure everybody saw that as well. It is the epitome of immature, just kind of egomaniacal, almost narcissistic behavior.
Mm-hmm.
That you have to be front and center all the time. And the page has turned with the Lakers organization. We read the story, the Windhorst Shelburne story. We've seen some of the other things that have gone on. We had Medina on a couple of weeks ago. He backed it up. Medina will be with Fratto after we're done. And I'm sure Bernie will ask him about it. And he'll probably say similar things like this LeBron James thing. Dude is unfortunately going to go out in a really just a really negative way. Like this is one of those where it's just like, all right, now I'm ready for him to go ahead and retire. Like I love watching him play basketball, but I'm just tired of this. And I feel like I represent the vast majority of the sports watching public, where it's just like, dude, just go away and live your life. Go start your production company, do all your podcasts, you know, be passive aggressive about all the stars that came before you that you think you're better than, and all these like, we can't just enjoy you for the basketball player that you are because you won't allow it anymore. So I'd rather you not play basketball anymore. I'd rather you just go do something that I can avoid. Like the league can't turn the page until you exit stage left. So at this point, I'm just waiting for that, because this is such a slap in the face in that organization that's bent over backwards to try and do everything you want, firing multiple coaches, bringing in your old podcast coach, drafting your son, all these other kinds of things. You can't be there for Luka's extension because it's better for your brand for you not to be.
It's
because
not
now
better
we're
for his
talking
brand,
about you.
But I'm not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's just so I agree with everything you said. Is that one, and I really actually kind of was thinking this during the NBA playoffs this year, is for all the criticisms of the NBA during the regular season. You know, I remember watching those playoffs, and you know, whether obviously Halliburton got hurt, but he had incredible playoffs. Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards. It was like there's so many great stories. Yet when the season begins, everyone in our business can't help but default to LeBron and the Lakers. Don't know what to talk about. LeBron and the Lakers. No lead topic. LeBron and the Lakers. Whatever. And, you know, I think it in many ways has hurt the NBA. And you and I have talked about that, is that, again, you know, I don't think, and I think it was a great point that you brought up throughout the playoffs. It's like people literally didn't know how to talk about the Indiana Pacers or the Oklahoma City Thunder because it had never been a topic all regular season. So I'm ready for him to move on. I think the thing that stands out to me is living in LA. I think there's a lot of Lakers. I would say the vast majority of Lakers fans are ready to move on. Tell you what, why don't we bring in producer Brandon here? Brandon is a diehard Lakers fan. Dude, I'll be honest, like being around town, it feels like it's run its course. It feels like it never really was what it was supposed to be. I think most Lakers fans, let me ask you, what percentage of Lakers fans would you say are ready for the LeBron era to be over? Because I think it is way bigger than people perceive. I'd say it's like in the 80 to 90% range. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think we first need to disassociate the people that are fans of LeBron James specifically,
totally different,
who then bandwagoned from, you know, obviously throughout his career, each team now are Lakers fans, because those would obviously they want him to be on. They're just fans of LeBron, right? So they're not. I don't know what they would think. For just Laker fans that were Laker fans before LeBron got to LA, I would say it's 90%. Like, yeah. I don't think it's hard to find fans that still want him on the team. In fact, my personal belief in this situation is I would prefer to just, at this point, trade him for anything you can. The issue is no one wants him, which he'll never say publicly. Like the Cleveland was interested. Reports were for a mid-level exception, right? They're not going to pay you $40 million, LeBron. Of course you opted in to your player option, right? Of course he did, because no one else was going to pay him $40 million at age 41. And look, he accomplished a lot with the Lakers, but I would have traded him. And I think another point we need to bring up is Jeannie Buss's involvement with this.
Great call.
Because if Mark Walter was running the team like what it is, like the Dodgers basically, and his people, right? LeBron would be gone already. I think with Jeannie staying over this next period of 5 years, and look, I'm going to give Jeannie flowers for her treatment of stars. Stars love her. Part of Luka's extension, personally, I believe was because he has a good relationship with Jeannie Buss. But we also have to remember, if Jeannie Buss was, let's say, completely gone, not even the governor, Mark Walter would have fired Rob Pelinka. He would have hired Sam Presti and given him a blank check. And LeBron would be running laps in Cleveland right now, getting ready for the Cavs season. And they would have traded him for Jared Allen. I mean, it would have already been done. I think only because of Jeannie Buss's involvement is why LeBron is still a Laker. I would prefer just to win 35 or 40 games and not have LeBron on the team and start building the roster around Luka, because there's no way they win a championship this year. There's a 0% chance. They don't play enough defense.
Well, and it speaks to, I think, the thing that we talked about earlier in the show, Jason, and for people who missed it, go back now to the podcast. I just think it sets up for a very interesting season ahead, because it's clear he doesn't want to be there. They don't want him there, but there is no real market to move him or trade him. I just think it's going to set up for a very, very, very weird year. Here's the other thing I would say about this too, real quick, J-Mark. We didn't talk about this in hour one. I think from my perspective, if you're mad at the organization, that's fine. And this speaks to what you said earlier about him just being a narcissist. But like, I was explaining this whole situation to my wife earlier today, and she's like, do you think he doesn't like Luka? And I was like, no, it has nothing to do with Luka. But Luka is the default enemy because Luka is what's standing in the way of him getting what he wants, which is complete control. And that's the part that I think, to me, is the most embarrassing part. Is if you have issues with ownership, guess what? There's a lot of athletes all over sports that have issues with ownership. Just ask Michael Parsons. But this dude came in. This dude didn't ask to be here. This dude thought a year ago he was retiring a Dallas Maverick, but he came in. Once he got to LA, he said all the right things. He did all the right things. You know, I think that he kind of deferred to LeBron throughout that season. And I think that to me is the most disappointing thing. You want to have issues with the front office. That's fine. Heck, you want to post your stupid social media in front of the Clippers jersey, wearing the Cleveland gear, whatever, practice facility. I don't care. But it is such an insult to Luka Doncic, who you now have to quote unquote go to war with for 82 games next year. It's just such an insult to him and guys that are supposed to be his teammates. It's just, that's the frustrating part to me. If you want to be mad at ownership, management, you won't be the first athlete, you won't be the last. But to do that to a guy that's your teammate, that you're supposed to be in the trenches with, I think that's the most frustrating part for me.
There's so many embarrassing things about this, guys. I mean, like, I don't think that was the most embarrassing thing, but I do think that it's quite embarrassing that LeBron James just can't let it go. That he thinks it's all about him all the time. But I loved what Jason Martin said about how he needs to exit left. Exit left, LeBron. The league can't move on. The NBA can't move on. The way that he was imploring him, begging him, encouraging him to just go do something else so that we can ignore you. Because we know LeBron James isn't going to go away. But just do something other than play basketball so that we don't have to watch you anymore, so that we can choose to ignore. But LeBron's never going to do that. The narcissism, needing to be in complete control. That brings us to the ownership piece, right? He wants ownership in the league. He wants ownership in the NBA. He's not going to stop until he has this sort of this power that he can wield. It's never enough power for him, right? So is he going to be an owner in the NBA? Is he going to start his own league? There are reports of that. There's reports of LeBron James wanting to start his own league. And then, in fact, I think it was last weekend, he met with Maverick Carter and not Luka Doncic, but Nikola Jokic's agent. So I want to pull this up for you guys. There's some good tidbits in here, but basically an NBA exec is saying that Maverick Carter and LeBron James, that they can launch their own sort of rival to the NBA. And so here it is. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yes. So NBA exec says league fears Maverick Carter and LeBron could launch NBA rival with Saudi backing. And so there's a little bit to unpack here, guys. Okay. Because first of all, the title of this article says the league fears. So they're in fear of LeBron James starting a competition. They're in fear of him being competitive with the league. Why is that? I'll tell you why. It says it right there in the title, Saudi backing. So LeBron James doesn't obviously have enough net worth to really pull this off by himself. He's got to corral other people together and convince them to do this with him. And Saudi money is basically a blank check. That's the whole, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the electric vehicle company, but that company, Lucid Motors, they're funded by Saudis. They should have been out of business. They should be out of business today, but they're not. They even have, who do they have? Is it Harry Styles? No, it's not Harry Styles. It's Timothy Chalamet as like a brand ambassador for them. They don't sell any cars, and they're not going to sell any more cars with a Timothy Chalamet. But anyway, they have Saudi backing, and so they're just able to stay afloat. And they keep surviving through Saudi backing. And so this league could basically have unlimited resources to get started and to be successful. So they'll have the resources, unlimited resources. And so, one moment. So the article, it goes on to say, LeBron James has challenged the NBA before, but never like this. According to one high-ranking team executive, the league's recent push to fast-track its European expansion may not just be about growing the game. It could be a defensive move to stay ahead of what insiders believe is a real threat, a Saudi-backed international league spearheaded by LeBron James and longtime business partner Maverick Carter. I'll tell you, you may think I'm crazy, the executive told Sports Business Journal, but I think the catalyst of this NBA Europe going quicker is they're worried LeBron and Maverick are going to get the Saudis and start like a league. I think without question, they think it's direct competition. While LeBron has publicly distanced himself from Carter's global basketball ambitions, some around the league believe the threat is credible and that if the price is right, not even the NBA could stop its biggest star from rewriting the future of the sport. LeBron doesn't give a shit, the exec added. Not if Saudi gives LeBron $200 million in cash and calls it a night. It's no secret that the NBA has serious expansion plans, just not in a way most fans expected. Rather than adding more franchises to its existing format, Adam Silver and his team have floated the idea of launching a separate league in Europe. According to reports, they've already started recruiting clubs to make the leap. I think it's going to happen, said another league source. As much as they see it as an opportunity, I also think there's a bit of a defense mechanism at play. You know, we've got to protect the game. I think Adam and Mark believe it's our responsibility to protect the global game and to commercialize it. It would be bold and unprecedented by the NBA. It would be a bold and unprecedented move by the NBA, one that could potentially grow its global audience and revenue exponentially. With millions of new fans in untapped international markets, a European league could reshape the structure of professional basketball entirely. But timing is everything. And the NBA's vision now runs headfirst into LeBron James' evolving ambitions. Once seen as a future NBA team owner, James may now be setting his sights even higher, launching an entirely independent global league. Earlier this summer, a photo of LeBron, Maverick Carter, and Nikola Jokic's agent, Misho Ratsna, sorry, I can't pronounce that, aboard a yacht in France, ignited trade rumors, but reports revealed the real story. Plans for an elite international league with 12 touring teams and massive financial backing potentially outside the NBA's ecosystem. Now it's a race, whether it's Adam Silver or LeBron James who moves first. The launch of a new international league could redefine the sport's power structure for decades. Whoever claims that first mover advantage may not just change basketball, they may own it. Well, I do want to talk to you about some roadblocks that are in the way from this expansion, guys. Okay, so Bill Simmons, and I had to pull up this article for you guys because I think it's really interesting. He uses offensive anti-Semitic language to attack James Dolan for essentially blocking the NBA expansion. And this wasn't anywhere. This wasn't anywhere in the news, but yet the media, the La Media attacked Kyrie Irving. The NBA banned Kyrie Irving. Nobody's saying anything about Bill Simmons, someone who is, very popular in the sports media world, saying this kind of language. And I'm going to read it for you. And they printed it in this article in Yahoo Sports, and they should be ashamed of themselves. But here it is. So Bill Simmons claims Knicks owner James Dolan is blocking the NBA expansion. Originally appeared this article in Fadeaway World. NBA expansion talk has heated up again, especially following the earth-shattering $10 billion sale of the Los Angeles Lakers, a figure that stunned the basketball world and injected fresh urgency into adding new franchises. But if there's one man seemingly standing in the way of that future, according to veteran NBA analyst Bill Simmons, it's none other than New York Knicks owner James Dolan. Interesting. On the Bill Simmons podcast, during a conversation with Chris Mannix, the two discuss the inevitability of NBA expansion and the surprising resistance it's facing. Chris Mannix says, "We're going to get 2 expansion teams probably in the next 3 years. I think the NBA is going to step on the gas with the expansion now that the Lakers sold for $10 billion. Bill Simmons, you know who's roadblocking them right now? James Dolan. He's got a little cabal of anti-expansion owners just because he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to share the media rights." So the word cabal is very offensive to the Jewish community. Okay. It's basically, it's it implies that Jewish people own everything, and they're essentially trying to form against everyone else. And so it's very offensive to the Jewish community, and it's hurtful language to them. And I am not of the opinion that Bill Simmons should be punished for this. However, no one's saying anything about it, which I think is really rich and interesting. Nobody's calling out this white Catholic man for talking about the cabal in the NBA, the Jewish cabal that is basically spearheaded by James Dolan. And it's to block the expansion. And so if James Dolan is part of blocking the expansion, this could be part of why LeBron James wants to create his own league with Maverick Carter. So, I wanted to share that with you guys really quickly. And we are going to go ahead and move on to Doug Gottlieb and his comments about LeBron James wanting to ruin the league, not caring about the Lakers at all. So I am going to go ahead and play that for you guys. But I did just want to break some of this down before we got to that. So thanks for your patience and bearing with me. Do me a favor, guys, if you haven't done so already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video. But here's what Doug Gottlieb had to say. Let's hear it and we'll react together.
There was this picture of LeBron, Maverick Carter, his agent, and Nikola Jokic, his agent, on a boat. And there's lots of what are they talking about? Is LeBron going to Denver? Is Jokic coming to LA? What's going on? Then, I don't know, it was yesterday or earlier today. I think it was yesterday. It came out that the conversation was in regards to Maverick Carter starting a league, some international league, where you have men's teams and women's teams, and it'll be like Live Golf only for the NBA. Like, wow, that's genius, right? Everybody takes an idea. And I don't know if Qdoba came first or if Chipotle came first, but somebody stole somebody else's fast casual idea, right? And then you look at all the fast casual places. Then you guys ever had kava? Like kava came in, we'll do the Greek form of it. There is an Indian food form of it, but as I told you, no disrespect to my Indian brothers and sisters, but I don't do Indian food. It's like the only thing I don't do. I just don't. It's just not my jam. But the bigger point is obviously Liv has made a lot of people a lot of money. It has broken through. They have partnered with the PGA. No one knows, what's going to happen to it in the future, but a lot of guys have gotten rich off it, and it's interesting. And they try and do the kind of rock and roll NBA introductions and try and spice it up, whatever. And golf, which can be seen as lame, is trying to be made cool by Liv Golf. Whatever level of whether it's working or not working, it's still surviving, and guys are still getting paid, and so it's lasted this long, so it has worked. But I have a hypothesis that I'd like to share with you, and you tell me if it makes sense. Okay. Chris Perfett, by the way, is filling in for Dan Byers here. Hey, welcome in, Chris. Of course, you got Iowa Sam and my man Jay Stu. Okay. So I think most people who watch and cover the NBA are familiar, and some people are not, that LeBron James has made it very, very clear he not only wants to own an NBA team, he wants to own a Vegas expansion team. Vegas expansion team. And many of you are driving along, you're sitting in your cubicle, you're listening to the DG show, maybe you're listening to us on the app, and you're like, yeah, I remember something about that. Okay, so I think, first of all, this meeting very easily could have happened in secret, and no one knows about it. Why would somebody take a picture and then put it out on social media? Because they want you to know it's happening, right? That's inarguable. I don't have to talk to somebody in LeBron's camp or Jokic's camp to know that the reason it was out on social media is they want you to know it's happening. Why would they want you to know what's happening? Well, there's only two possible reasons. One, LeBron was told he's not getting a team, which is altogether possible, maybe even likely, because as deep as LeBron's pockets are, they're not that deep. They're not that deep. The LeBron being worth $1 billion, it sounds good. It's very likely to not be real because I'm sure a lot of it is tied up in Nike stock and in other stocks. Not that doesn't count in terms of your valuation, but I think a lot of it is based upon his personal brand, his personal value, not how much actual cash he has or how many actual assets he has and whether or not those assets equal out to $1 billion. I remember NBA teams, we just watched the Lakers go for $10 billion. Billion. So I know NBA players, and LeBron seems to be the richest of them, but that pales in comparison to the guys that are in the financial markets. Right. So there's one of only two possibles that I've come up with. Either one, he was told he's not getting a team, and this is his way of going, or two, he wants to leverage his way to getting a team, and the only way to get leverage is if you don't give me this team, I'm going to go out and form this other league that's going to be in competition with you, with the hopes of ultimately getting a team that way. That's the only two possible solutions I can think of, or reasons I can think of, why LeBron would not only have this meeting. Having the meeting, you can take a meeting with anybody, but why do you want to take a picture of it? Why do you want people to know what it was about? Why do you want to know? Why do you want to include Nikola Jokic's agent in it? It's pretty obvious, right? That this is, I'm sure they're going to sell it as, this is our next step. This is what we do after we retire. Is we own NBA teams. We force expansion into Europe by putting together teams in Europe, and then ultimately they join the NBA. Or maybe it's because we make them pay us. We make them give us a seat at the table. Or maybe it's an FU. The issue with any league outside the NBA in comparison to golf is golfers, outside of their sponsorship money, if they don't play well on Thursday and Friday, they don't get paid. They don't get to hang around for Saturday and Sunday. Whereas NBA players, they're plenty well compensated. And oh yeah, by the way, that money is based upon TV deals. And a new league wouldn't have enough teams, nor would have the star power to have those big TV deals. And if the sale was, hey, we're going to launch with LeBron James, the problem is that by the time LeBron James' contract expires, say they start a new league, and he is the centerpiece of it. He'll be 41 years old. And he'll be playing against rummies. And it will diminish all the things he did in the NBA. It just will. That's the reality to it. Okay? It'll diminish what he's done in the NBA. And the last part, and maybe the most important part to it, that this is my takeaway. And it may not sit well with you, but I know it to be reality, which is LeBron has never cared about Laker fans or being a Laker. He clearly doesn't care about being a Miami Heat. And very likely doesn't care about being a Cleveland Cavalier and what all that represents, because he left there twice. And conducting such a meeting and allowing your agent with a firm that you started to tweet out that picture showing that you're trying to do harm to the league that has helped make you into a billionaire only shows that LeBron James cares only about the relationships of people he knew in high school. And that's it. That's it. If he cared about JJ Redick and their relationship, he never would have allowed his agent to go public and say they're not a championship team. If he cared about the Lakers, he wouldn't do so many of the things he's done while being a member of the Lakers. We discussed this. If he cared about being a member of the Miami Heat, he would have just left. Why? They played in 4 NBA finals. They won 2 of them. He's shown no value, nor has he ever claimed that as part, this is who LeBron is. It definitely tracks. He's somebody who doesn't actually care about anybody outside of his inner circle. And again, that's okay, with the exception of the fact that he desperately want to be loved by everybody and cared for by everybody, but those are really transactional relationships. So the big takeaways from LeBron meeting with Jokic's agent is, I think it's a leverage play or an FU play, because he was either told he's not going to get a team, or he wants to try and force himself to getting a team. And the only way he can do it is to force his way by helping create this new league. The miscalculation is that league has zero value unless it has stars. And the best star would be LeBron James, who, don't get me wrong, people would come out and watch if he's trying to start a league, people would watch, but they're not going to pay attention to a league. And then at some point, when your best and most known player retires, then what do you have? Nothing. It feels like it's simply a leverage play in order to get the NBA to give them that team in Vegas, which they may or may not have during the next cycle.
Very interesting. So LeBron, it does seem that way. It seems like a power play. It seems like an either or. Like, hey, I'm covered no matter what. The NBA doesn't give me a league. I'm going to go in this direction. I'm going to be known for this. We're going to compete. I'm going to try to tear down the league that made me. Doug Gottlieb, he said some key things. LeBron doesn't care about anybody but himself. Never cared about the Lakers or any organization. Doesn't care about any of his relationships. Everything is transactional, which makes a whole lot of sense, right? I mean, JJ Redick was hired because he committed to putting Bronny on a development plan. That's what he committed to. So it makes perfect sense that, hey, let me go ahead and put you here as the coach. We're not really friends. This is a quid pro quo. LeBron James probably doesn't have many real friends. I mean, do you guys remember what Pat McAfee said after he had his interview with LeBron? Good morning, beautiful people. I still can't believe LeBron had a conversation with a white guy the other day. People don't really like LeBron James. They don't really respect him. They tolerate him. They use him as a tool, as a vehicle to get where they want to go. That's just what it is. He has relationships that are based in convenience. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. That kind of thing. But his loyalty, like Doug Gottlieb said, is it's only to his family, to his friends from high school, if that. I want to talk about how I think that LeBron James is trying to sabotage the NBA. I mean, I think he wants to sabotage the Lakers. I think he's very upset with them that he hasn't been given carte blanche to do what he wants, that he hasn't been given the Kobe treatment, the Michael Jordan treatment on his way out of the league. And I think that he's very upset about that. I do. Rob Pelinka, he sent his message. I'm curious to know like what kind of message you guys thought he was sending. Feel free to drop that in the chat. But the sabotaging that LeBron James has done to the NBA, it reminds me of Nikki Barnes and that story. That's what I thought of first. I thought about Leroy Nikki Barnes, and I want to take you guys down this journey of why I think that LeBron James is sabotaging the NBA and just kind of how he's doing this. I mean, when you think about it, right, he wants to change certain things to benefit him. He has made the league into something that's unwatchable, and think about how he sort of distanced himself from that. He distanced himself earlier from the whole 3-point barrage. He was like, yeah, we take a lot of effing threes, as if he's not a part of it. He didn't participate in All-Star, as if he can't be bothered. It's not a good enough game for him to play in. I think he even said he didn't watch it. JJ Redick, his little buddy, said, I didn't watch that shit, right? Didn't he say that? So they could be potentially like trying to ruin the league so that they can come in and either save it with their expansion team or go right on ahead and start this new league, because the NBA doesn't want to let them into ownership. And I've always suspected that LeBron James was not going to be handed a team, that they don't want him in ownership. They don't want LeBron James and Clutch Sports to be an owner. That's absolutely not what they want. They want LeBron to retire and ride off into the sunset and do whatever he's going to do. But they don't want him to be an NBA owner. And I've said it for a long time that I thought that he would have to have some sort of ownership group to penetrate the NBA. And it's not easy, right? The cost of these teams are going way up. And the price of entry, I mean, the owners have to allow you to be an owner. And I think that there are a lot of owners that hate LeBron James and will vote no for him to be part of the ownership group. So I just think that LeBron James has at every turn faced a roadblock. I think that he was betrayed in 2010 by his teammate, or 2009, whatever year that was, I think it was 2010 by his teammate, right? The whole situation with his mom and Delonte West. I think he was betrayed. So I think he hightailed out of Cleveland. He was upset, right? He needed to be sedated during those games, during the playoffs. And then we had his time at the Miami Heat. He basically worked for Pat Riley. Pat Riley ran the team. He wasn't going to let LeBron James and his Clutch Sports crew, and I'm sorry, but like he just was not going to let that happen. Pat Riley wasn't going to get walked all over. He wasn't going to let LeBron James steamroll him. And then you fast forward to LeBron's time in Cleveland. He just went back home to win the title and do something historical, right? Leaves Cleveland and then goes on to the Lakers, where, you know, they've won so many championships and titles without LeBron James. Prior to him getting there, they had already 16 banners hung. They didn't need LeBron James to make them a storied franchise. Did he come in and give them an injection? Did he make them relevant again because they were losing so much? Yes, but it wasn't that the Lakers will never be irrelevant. Did he make them popping again? Because obviously everybody's tuning in to what LeBron James is going to do, for sure. But there was no shortage of Lakers tickets being bought. I guarantee that. But the story of Nikki Barnes, it's a really, really powerful story. I don't know if you guys know about it. Do you know anything about Nikki Barnes? Are you guys familiar with him? He is a notorious Harlem gangster. He is infamous for essentially creating like the black version of the mafia in a sense. He called it the Council, and it consisted of 7 members. He created a rule book, a book of rules for them to follow. And they had the game on lock. They were in all 5 boroughs of New York City. They were a huge drug conglomerate, basically. And Nikki Barnes, he is one of the most famous gangsters in Harlem history. He infamously snitched on his entire team. Okay, so he started this whole thing, and it began to go not the way that he planned, and he became a turncoat. And I want to talk about this story with you guys because, like I said, it's really powerful. And when I thought about what LeBron James was doing, and then I thought of the Nikki Barnes story in that documentary. First of all, guys, if you have never seen it, Mr. Untouchable, it's an incredible documentary, really great. Lots of great throwback songs in there as well. I really enjoyed it. It's old. It's an old documentary. I think it came out somewhere around 2010 or something, maybe 2007 or something like that, actually. It was around the time that American Gangster dropped, and basically those 2 movies were being pit against each other. So American Gangster was a fictionalized version of Frank Lucas's story, and then Mr. Untouchable was the documentary film version of Leroy Nikki Barnes's book called Mr. Untouchable that he wrote. And so I want to just talk to you guys a little bit more about this story. Basically, Nikki Barnes, you know, he was the guy. He was the man in the 70s. Honestly, all throughout New York City. Like I said, he had the Council. So many amazing things came out of the Council. The Council, the Apollo. Anybody here from Harlem in the audience? You know, Guy Fisher was a part of the Council. He's responsible for the Apollo and getting that up and running. Very historical landmark in Harlem. Just an incredible place. Lots of legendary performances have happened there. And anyhow, essentially, Nikki Barnes, he was the guy in the 70s. You know, he had the Council. They had their set of rules. He was married. He had kids. He, you know, had a bevy of women at his disposal. And he was called Mr. Untouchable because he kept beating these cases. He had an incredible lawyer that, you know, he beat he beat federal charges. They called him Mr. Untouchable. He was basically the Teflon Don before John Gotti. So when John Gotti was getting off, and he just, they couldn't catch him, they couldn't convict him. The same thing was going on with Nikki Barnes prior to John Gotti and his court cases. And he kept getting away with it. He had like I said, he had a great legal team, and he was he was dubbed Mr. Untouchable because they just could not nail him. And finally, one member of the council messed up, and he was being recorded. There was a rat. There was an informant, someone who was undercover, and he was recording Jazz. That was his name, Jazz. Seems to be a real nice guy. He's actually an activist now, but he was recording Jazz, and they were talking about laundering money, basically washing money, lots of bills, and that was recorded. And pretty much Nikki Barnes was arrested from that wiretap, and essentially, excuse me, Nikki Barnes, Nikki Barnes had the very first anonymous jury. Excuse me. So Nikki Barnes had the very first anonymous jury, and it was just insane. Basically, like in the past, and Nikki Barnes was able to do this. He was able to turn jurors. He was able to flip them and essentially, make sure that they were on his side during trial. And not this time. The president. So what happened was Nikki Barnes went on the cover. Okay. I forget what magazine he went on the cover of, but essentially he posed on the cover of, maybe it was New York Magazine or Time. Maybe it was Time Magazine he was on the cover of. And it was titled Mr. Untouchable. He had a red, white, and blue tie on as if he was Mr. America. And they're calling him Mr. Untouchable, a guy that's just, he was basically flaunting the fact that he's getting away with, these murders, getting away with being a drug kingpin, essentially. And so President, I believe it was Jimmy Carter at the time, he decided that this wasn't going to fly. And he was going to make sure that Nikki Barnes was convicted and put away. Okay. He wanted him down. He wanted him under the jail, and he was going to make sure that it happened. And he said, hey, do what you have to do to get the conviction. So they got an anonymous jury, and, the rest was history. But essentially, he went to jail. He went to jail for life without parole. And he was in jail for a couple of years before he decided to become an informant and be a turncoat and tell on all of his friends. He told on all of his friends. He told on his wife even. And the reason why he told on his wife and his friends and, basically the entire organization that he built, it was out of revenge. And I have some sound for you guys that I want to play because I want you guys to hear this story and be along this journey with me. And it really is a good one. Nikki Barnes, he's so... like his infamous story about being a rat, basically, it's so impactful because of the reason why he ratted. A lot of people, they rat on their friends. They become a snitch, basically. They tell stories because they want a lesser sentence. They want out of prison. They fear being down. And a lot of guys, when they get into this business, at least back then in the 60s, the 70s, there was a code of honor. In the mafia, it's like called omerta, and in the Black community, it's just don't tell on your friends. You don't snitch. You don't rat. It's the bottom line. And Nikki Barnes did just that. And it started, he's in jail. And some things are not going his way, and he doesn't understand why, and he's getting frustrated. And here's the start of why Nikki Barnes ratted, basically. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to listen closely. this sound is coming from the documentary itself, and it was very difficult for me to pull it. And he speaks very low. He was an old man in witness protection. He was still alive at the time of the documentary. I think he was in his 70s. And here's what Nikki Barnes had to say about where he felt like things started, where things went wrong before he decided that he was going to become an informant.
I'm in the joint. I got life with no motherfucking parole. And I'm still doing shit for these niggas, man. And they couldn't even honor that. Why am I sending out supply after supply and they're sitting out there fucking up money, buying bad loads of shit? I think that probably the breakdown began with guys' obsession to fill my shoes. The king is dead, but long live the king, because I'm the new king. I'm in the...
So basically, someone on his team was jealous of him. Someone on his team wanted to take his spot. That's what he's saying, right? So that's where it started. And so, you know, when you create something, sometimes you say to yourself, well, if I can't run it, I'm going to ruin it. It starts and stops with me. LeBron James calls himself the king, right? He called himself the king. But it's clear to me that LeBron James, he wants unquestionable loyalty. He wants unlimited power. He wants unquestionable loyalty from you, but he doesn't have to give that in return. Not to his teammates, not to any organizations, to no one. LeBron James has zero loyalty to anyone. Nikki Barnes, he felt like he created the council and there were rules that you needed to follow. And he created these rules so that they were all on the same page. They basically took an oath to this rule book. And, you know, Nikki Barnes, he talks about, you know, he does a really old interview. So basically, when he first became an informant, this picture of him, he's sitting down to do an interview about it. And I mean, he very transparently talks about why he became a snitch. And he starts off talking about his wife, actually. And this sound is going to come from the documentary. He's talking about his wife, how she was disloyal to him. And so I want you guys to hear this.
Thelma was disloyal to me. So I called one of my buddies, you know. And he said, yeah, he said, Nick, he said, yeah, she was on 7th Avenue. In your Mercedes, in your white Mercedes. And he said, I didn't even see him. They called me to the car. He said, Tito called me to the car because he wanted me to see that he had your woman. Anyhow, Thelma got involved with this character, and she began to disregard what were her duties to me.
So you heard Nikki Barnes, and the
legitimate reason why I got angry was because of Shemeka, but he will never say that part. You know, he'll never say, well, you know, when she found out about Shemeka, she got upset, and so she turned to someone else. That would be like too close to the truth.
Thelma was disloyal to me. So I called one of my buddies, you know. And he said, yeah, he said, Nick, he said,
So he talks about how Thelma, his wife, she was disloyal to him. She had the nerve to be with one of his associates. And his associate, while he's in jail, is sitting there saying that, hey, like, come and see me. Come take a look at me. I've got Nikki Barnes' girl. I've got his wife. There's nothing he can do about it because I'm out and he's in. Right? That's a huge betrayal. Right? So he's behind bars. He's got these folks that he thinks are working for him. So he's still the king behind bars. He's still the king behind bars. And he's giving his team orders, and they're not following them. They're not following them.
Unknown caller.
My girl, and he did. And when the word got back to Nikki, that was something that alienated him about Guy.
We had bought the Apollo, and Guy was handling all of the renovation and opening of the Apollo. And I'm hearing stories about him sitting up in the balcony with my woman, kissing on my woman. Look at that guy. I'm thinking, this faggot ass motherfucker, but he got a phone with my woman. So I'm saying to myself, what does that mean, nigga, that you did it? You did that to her. Guy put himself in the position of dictating policy to me. I'm the one who dictated the policy, not he. You don't fuck with the king's woman. You can be a womanizer all you want, but you don't violate the rules. And when he violated them, he had to pay. I said to Frank, I want you to lay down Tito, and I want Guy at the ground. I want him horizontal, man. That's what I want done. And he said, well, I'm going to get it done. So anyhow, he's not doing anything. And as I'm looking at it, I know why he's not doing anything. The guys began to realize that I wasn't getting out. I'm thinking to myself, and I remember saying to myself, I can't run it. But I sure could wreck that motherfucker, man. I can't run it, but I could wreck it.
Guys, after he says that, by the way, James Brown, The Payback comes on, and it's an amazing song. So guys, don't forget about that song. Don't forget about James Brown. Such an incredible song, but he can't, if you heard Nikki Barnes, and I know the sound is low, this documentary was a low budget film and it was recorded low. So there was nothing that I can do about that. But he says, if I can't run it, I'll wreck it. I can't run it, but I sure can wreck it. He saw Guy Fisher with his girlfriend at the basketball game, kissing on his woman, not his wife, his girlfriend. And these girls were off limits. There were rules. You didn't sleep with other council members' women. You didn't do that. That was against the rules, and he violated the rules. And so Nikki Barnes, he wanted them down. He wanted them in the dirt. And you heard him. He realized that they were no longer working for him. And so, guys, that brings me to LeBron James. The Lakers are not working for him anymore. He wants to ruin them. He wants to ruin the Lakers. He wants to ruin the NBA, if possible. He doesn't care about anything. LeBron James has no shame in any of the things that he's doing. Parading around with his son on the golf course while the whole team is celebrating Luka's extension. No shame. No shame at all. Nikki Barnes. And so I thought that LeBron James was just like this guy. I said to myself, you know what? He's if I can't run it, I'm going to wreck it kind of person. That's what I thought. And, Nikki Barnes, he's so, he was such an insightful kind of gangster. He was such an insightful leader, especially when he went to jail. He read all these different books. Even while he was on the streets, he loved Machiavelli and really leaned into that literature to help him sort of create the council and to lead with an iron fist. And him and Frank Lucas were very different. Both Harlem gangsters. Frank Lucas had like a smaller area to cover. And he did things differently. Nikki Barnes had partnerships with Italians, and Frank Lucas had partnerships with, he says no one, I guess, you know, overseas and transporting through caskets and things of that nature. But it was just interesting to me that what I think really separates someone like LeBron, who has no remorse for any of the things that he does, no accountability for any of the things that he does. Nikki Barnes, he believed in the brotherhood that he created. He believed in that. He swore into it. He was ready to die for it. LeBron James, the fraternity of the NBA, that brotherhood, he doesn't believe in that. He never has. He's only disrespected the previous generations of the game. He disrespects his teammates. Everybody is basically a target. When LeBron James is near you, good luck, right? But Nikki Barnes, he couldn't just snitch on his friends. It was hard for him. It was very hard for him to snitch on his friends.
Was overwhelmed by guilt. I was overwhelmed by guilt. I had every reason to testify against them and no reason at all to feel guilty. But it's that street corner indoctrination, that criminal ethic, that street corner value system. It's overpowering. And I started crying on the stand.
From guilt and emotion.
And emotion. I couldn't talk. I was overwhelmed by guilt. I was overwhelmed by guilt.
He couldn't talk. He was snitching on his friends, the guys that he built this organization with. Multi-million dollar, I believe it was $1 billion organization. Like I said, they were throughout the entire, I believe it was either all of New York or the tri-state area. But Nikki Barnes, he was the biggest drug lord coming out of Harlem at that time. Okay. And he really, when he is in the Mr. Untouchable documentary, you hear him sound totally different from what I just played for you. So back then, when he first became a turncoat, he talked about, just how horribly he felt in the moment snitching. He didn't ultimately feel bad at all. He really believed that they deserved it. He'd rather, be in the position that he was in at that time than being in jail with them, being friends with them. So I get that, he went on to say this.
In other words, it's saying that, hey, Nick, you broke the golden rule. And I'm saying, what good is a rule if the rule ain't a jewel that's fit for the crown of the king? If you're going to take the rule and just use it to make bling, and you're going to say, fuck the king, then the king going to sing.
I mean, you heard it, guys. He calls himself a king. LeBron calls himself a king, right? So that's why I was comparing those two. And if he can't run the NBA, if he can't dominate in the NBA, if he can't force us to say that he's the GOAT, then what is he going to do? He's going to wreck the league. If he can't take over the league and business and own an expansion team and slowly just, take over the league, he's going to wreck it. That's where he's at. He's going to wreck it. But guys, I spoke briefly about Frank Lucas and Nikki Barnes. They actually had a bitter rivalry back then in the 70s. They show it in the American Gangster movie slightly. Basically, Frank Lucas makes Nikki Barnes out to be like a flashy drug dealer that he didn't like. Nikki Barnes sort of asserts the same thing about him. In fact, says that he couldn't dress in the documentary, that, they were not on, he says that like Frank Lucas was nowhere near his level. And Frank Lucas, he talked a lot. He ran his mouth a lot. So Frank Lucas is another famous rat. And the misconception is that he only ratted on the police. He did snitch on his family and friends as well. Don't be fooled by that story. American Gangster is not true. It's an inauthentic story. And he actually, during that time, so at the time of the movie release and Mr. Untouchable, they were releasing similar times, Frank Lucas and Nikki Barnes actually get on the phone and talk together. So Nikki Barnes was in witness protection program at this point. Okay. And so just to give you guys a quick synopsis, he ratted on his friends. I believe he spent about 8 years in jail. He ratted on the council, the rest of the council members, and he had like, I guess, 80 some odd convictions or so. And I mean, it was pretty bad. And, I think he even had like a wing. I think he even had like a whole wing for just for that it was called the Nikki Barnes wing or something like that. And really funny, but pretty much Nikki Barnes gets together with Frank Lucas. They meet for like this weird interview. So he's on the phone in witness protection, and Frank Lucas is just out and about in a wheelchair, stopping by to have this interview. And they're talking. And I mean, Frank Lucas was always like a loud, big mouth, always. And so he's kind of showing that he hasn't changed much. And they're talking during this interview. And again, it was always like a battle between these two. Nikki Barnes never really felt that he was on his level. Frank Lucas had a couple of street corners. So he had Harlem on lock, I believe, from like, 116th to whatever street. And then Nikki Barnes had all 5 boroughs. So for Nikki Barnes, it wasn't even close. And so he had heard things like, oh, Frank Lucas had a contract out on him, which he found to be laughable, all these things. And, he actually, he talks to Frank Lucas, and they're asked a question. They're asked about the independent Black man movement. And this is where I learned that LeBron James is actually more like Frank Lucas. Okay. So that's what I believe. Here is just like a picture of Frank Lucas from that day, that interview, very old. He's passed away now, but here is the sound.
Well, you guys don't have any jealousy between the two of you or anything like that.
I don't have no jealousy. I love the son of a bitch. No.
I have one last question. Just
this is Mark.
This is Mark, Nick. I haven't seen American Gangster, but part of what's on the web and everybody's talking about, besides the snitch thing, is who was the first Black man to declare his independence from the mafia.
That is
from
true.
The white bosses. And, some people are saying Frank was, and they've seen the trailer, and they've seen his movie, and others have read your book and have seen our movie and said, Nick, you were. I'm wondering how both of you feel in that era about the Black man standing up, even though it was illegitimate and illegal, and declaring independence. How do you see that?
I had a degree of independence, but I was kind of inextricably interwoven with Italian organized crime figures. So I couldn't say that I had complete independence from them. Frank's independence was more than mine. But because I was linked to Madonna. When I first came home, I got my first silencer and automatic weapon from Matty Madonna's older brother. I got my first package on consignment. I got my first piece of money. I got my first phony driver's license from Frank Madonna. So I had a degree. I had a degree of respect from them that a lot of blacks didn't have, because I no longer allowed them to come into Harlem and Shanghai do the pistol whip guys and take money out because guys owed them money. If they came in, they had to come through me.
And Frank, how did you feel about your relationship with the Italians and the independents? How did you feel?
Well, I did business with Italian for a few years, 3 or 4 or 5 years, but then I told my boss Bumpy that I want to go overseas and get some of that good dope where the soldiers were getting off of. And that's how I declared my independence. I did it. I went all the way from there. What's the matter, Nick?
No, go ahead.
I went all the way from the rice paddies of the Mekong Delta to the jungle to the Ho Chi Minh Trail. All around Malaysia, Hong Kong. I went all over there to do what I had to do. I had 3,000 keys back into the state of back into America, you know. And you can buy 3,000, bring 3,000 keys because you bring 10.
How did you bring them in, Frank? Because there've been all those rumors about the coffins.
Coffins true in one spec and not true in another. I never put them in the coffin. We had a false bottom caskets. False bottom casket, we put it in. That's when it went. And all that went hand in hand. I never in my life looked down on them for nothing. I did my own. You know what I mean?
You didn't look down on the Italians?
I didn't look down on nobody. I did my own thing.
Why do you think there's such fascination amongst today's younger generation with your era? You know, Nikki, Frank, you guys, you know, it's like people look back at Al Capone and Lucky Luciano and Meyer.
Well, now you're talking about the real gangsters. Yeah, you're talking about the real gangsters.
And what were you guys?
I guess you could call me that in a way, but I was not there trying to prove no point by killing people. I was there trying to make money.
Nick, why do you think there's such a fascination now with this era and you guys?
I think probably because the whole landscape has changed and there's some kind of nostalgia about what was once there. Because the way Harlem was when Frank and I were getting paid, it's not like that anymore, from what I hear. I don't know because I haven't been it. I haven't seen it.
Nick, I can tell you a fact, they ain't like that no more.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, you know that, and Mark was there and witnessed it. Mary Jane and I have been attacked, and I don't know if Ridley Scott will be attacked, but for giving you screen time and not forcing you to look at the consequences of what it meant that junkies used dope. It destroyed their lives, that Harlem was destroyed, that many neighborhoods were destroyed, that the Black Power movement was destroyed. So I guess this is my opportunity. I know we've talked about this, but both of you guys, how do you feel about that? And what happened to the Black community because of heroin?
I think heroin wreaked a lot of havoc and a lot of pain in the Black community. But I mean, I'm not going to be the person who takes the sole responsibility for something like that. Yeah, you know, I shouldn't have done it, but it's not as though I was aware. Well, maybe I was aware too, but I just didn't give a fuck. I wanted to make money, and that's what I did. That's what I did to make money. Looking back now, if I had the same perspective now, that if I had that at the time, I wouldn't have made those decisions. But now it's a hell of a lot different, and it's a lot easy to kind of sanitize yourself after the fact. But before the fact, I guess I'm just the same guy.
What do you think about that, Frank?
I agree with Nick wholeheartedly. I agree with Nick. Just every word he said, I agree with it. But I can tell you this. When I was up there getting money in the Black neighborhood, the white neighborhood, the neighborhood you want to go in, you respect is fine. And you don't get paid by respect. You get paid with fear. When the fear factor comes in, that's when you get paid. Do you agree, Nick?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when you get paid. So you got to be a motherfucker to a certain extent to get paid.
But if you go online, you're going to see a lot of discussion. Mr. Untouchable versus American Gangster, the Hollywood version.
Well, they still try to stir shit up, but it ain't happening.
They stir a little shit up, you know?
Nick, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. They still try to stir shit up. Tell me it ain't going to happen, man.
Yeah. Hey, they're making it a Crips in the blood thing, huh?
Crips in the blood.
That's what they're trying to do, but it ain't going to happen, Nick. You know that. You know that. You know that ain't going to happen.
You guys know that an interview a couple of weeks ago with Kevin Durant, LeBron James on Mind the Game, That's what that interview reminded me of. So actually, LeBron James is Frank Lucas. He's the big mouth. He was trying to stop Kevin Durant from saying certain things, interrupting him, cutting him off so that he couldn't, make these probably really embarrassing, damaging points. Like when Kevin Durant started cooking him about taking the final shot and how it needs to be the superstar on the team. LeBron James quickly changed the subject, talked over him, was like, yeah. That's a person that they're lying about something. They need to perpetuate. They need to grandstand. They need to make sure everybody knows that they have the power in the room. LeBron James is Frank Lucas, not Nikki Barnes. If you notice during that conversation, Frank Lucas, he starts saying that his boss was Bumpy Johnson. That's a lie. He was like Bumpy Johnson's driver. He wasn't working for Bumpy Johnson in the drug game. He was driving him around. And he said to Nikki Barnes, he said to these guys that did Nikki Barnes's documentary, and Nikki's on the phone, okay? And he's like, I went to my boss Bumpy to ask if I can go and get that good stuff overseas. And Nikki Barnes, he doesn't even address it. He laughs. He starts chuckling on the phone. Because Frank Lucas is still the same after all these years, still trying to prove something, still trying to prove that, he sits in the same room with Nikki Barnes. And honestly, he doesn't, not just because of, it's just for a variety of reasons. So Nikki Barnes is from New York. Frank Lucas is from the South. They were called the Country Boys. So they already don't sit in the same room because of that. Nikki Barnes makes fun of him because apparently they dress to the left. Anyhow, like I said, LeBron James is for sure Frank Lucas, not Nikki Barnes. I do want to leave you guys with one last soundbite from Nikki Barnes in the documentary. It was really good. I think you guys should all go and watch it if you like crime stories at all. Here's what he said to sort of close out the documentary and really just like a final touche to his enemies.
In the course of my reading, I read something else. I read Moby Dick. Ahab, in his relentless pursuit of the right whale, in my mind, was synonymous with the pursuit of the green dollar. And he was willing to accept all of the consequences that went along with that. Captain Ahab was just dynamically involved in his own destruction. Ahab said at one point, my greatest torment has become my greatest joy. But it's that obsession that drove him. And it's that same type of obsession, I think, that not only I felt, that all of us felt when it came to pursuing the dollar and then even sacrificing whatever had to be sacrificed to get it done. When I came into the program, I left Nikki Barnes behind. And I emerged from that a different person with a different set of values, a set of values that they don't even understand. And they could call me a snitch. I'd rather be here and be considered a betrayer of them than to be in there and to be considered a stand-up guy while they could be out here violating the rules. I'm out there in. Guy, life without parole. That means he's going to die in prison. That means Frank's going to die in prison. It's not as though I hear their names and I say, oh, I forgive them, for they know not what they did. No, that ain't happening, you know. I'm saying, yeah, forgive them, but they now know who they fucketh with, and it shouldn't have been me.
Oh, forgive them, for they now know who they fucketh with. I just wonder how this story ends for LeBron. So we know how Nikki Barnes and Frank Lucas's stories end, right? They were turncoats. Frank Lucas like snitched on everybody and gets out of jail, goes back to jail, he gets busted again. Nikki Barnes winds up doing 21 years. So he snitched on his friends after 8 years, did 21 years, and then the feds released him. They said that he was not going to get any relief. They were not planning to release him. They told him, hey, like if you snitch now after the fact, like we don't care. We're still not going to release you. That's how bad he wanted the revenge. So how bad does LeBron want his own team? How bad does he want Bryce in the league? How bad does he want his own league? If Bryce doesn't get drafted, is he for sure going to start his own league and take Bronny and Bryce James with him? Can create a team called the Brondashians. I like that name. But anyway, what do you guys think? Is LeBron pulling a Nikki Barnes? Is he Mr. Untouchable? Is he going to get away with everything for the rest of his career? Is it finally going to catch up to him at some point? You know, is he planning on wrecking the league because he can't run it? Because we're not going to call him the GOAT? Because nobody in the league views him as the GOAT. Nobody wants to be like him. Nobody wants to play like him. And the general public, we're not going to call him the GOAT. So does he have some sort of evil, diabolical plan to take over the NBA and change basketball for the worse? Curious to hear from you guys and know what you think about that. I think that LeBron James is Frank Lucas, a big mouth, somebody that he doesn't know what he's talking about half the time. Liar. I think LeBron James is a pathological liar. So was Frank Lucas. Frank Lucas was known for being a pathological liar. Bumpy Johnson's wife actually wrote a book discrediting him, saying how much of a liar he was and how much of a nobody he was to Bumpy Johnson. So anyhow, guys, I think that all of that, like LeBron James talk, it was really tiring. We do have 2 more topics left. If you guys still have some, something left in your tank, I'll keep going. I do want to talk about Nick Wrong and the comments that he made, the same way that LeBron James just won't accept that we won't call him the GOAT. We won't accept that he's better than Michael Jordan. We won't even accept that he's better than Kobe Bryant. We won't accept it. And so he's got his paid media members out there working overtime. I mean, overtime. Nick Wrong, ESPN, La Media, these people are working overtime to make sure that LeBron James is second to Kobe Bryant. Not that he's the GOAT, that he's second to Michael Jordan, excuse me. They want to make sure that Kobe Bryant doesn't have that spot. It must be LeBron James. They are adamant that LeBron James is at minimum the number 2 greatest of all time. That's what Clutch Sports, that's what they want us to believe. And I don't believe it. And I want to know why is Nick Wrong doubling down on LeBron being second after all this GOAT talk? You're the GOAT, stand on business. Now you're second? I just don't understand it. It doesn't make much sense to me. And I want to show you where I'm reading this. I mean, Nick Wrong has repeatedly bashed Kobe Bryant, made disrespectful comments about Kobe Bryant repeatedly. He's done this. So, it's not surprising that yet another article has come out. There's lots of video. It's been well documented. And fadeawayworld.net, they report Nick Wright breaks down why Kobe Bryant doesn't belong in the GOAT conversation. Nick Wright says Kobe Bryant doesn't make the GOAT cut. And this article came out about 5 days ago. I thought it was worth talking about. He goes by Nick Wright, but I think he's oftentimes wrong. And, Nick Wrong has never shied away from controversial NBA takes. And on his latest podcast, he tackled one of the most debated topics in basketball history, Kobe Bryant's place in the GOAT conversation. To Wrong, the answer is clear. Kobe doesn't belong there. And he laid out exactly why. There are 6 people you're allowed to have the opinion are their greatest of all time. You can point to something specific as their thing, something they were clearly the best at. So if you want to say Bill Russell is the greatest ever, 21-0 and winner take all games, 11 championships, 8 in a row, that's valid. You want to argue Wilt, the man averaged 50 points per game and more than 48 minutes per game in a season. He scored 100 points in a single game. Then there's Kareem, greatest high school player ever, greatest college player ever, most MVPs of anyone in NBA history. The Jordan LeBron arguments, we've all had them. It's obvious what those guys are. And then the 6th, if you really want to squint hard enough, is Magic Johnson, greatest passer ever, changed the game in a way few have. Those are the guys. Then there's Kobe, who some people try to make a case for. The problem is Michael hasn't beat in every single category. If you were never the best at anything, how can you be the best ever? That's not a viable opinion. He then broke down his list: Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Magic Johnson. With Russell, it's the sheer dominance and winner takes all games, 21-0, 11 titles in 13 seasons, including 8 straight. Wilt, the man averaged 50 points per game and played over 48 minutes per contest for an entire season. Kareem's resume includes being the most dominant high school and college player ever, along with 6 MVPs, more than anyone else in NBA history. Then comes Jordan and LeBron, the 2 most frequent GOAT picks. Jordan's 6 rings, 10 scoring titles, and unblemished finals record. LeBron's all-around brilliance, career longevity, and statistical dominance. And for Nick Wrong, even Magic Johnson deserves a mention for revolutionizing the point guard position, leading the Lakers to 5 titles while being arguably the greatest passer in league history. But then there's Kobe. Wright's main argument is that while Bryant was great, an all-time talent, an icon, a winner, he was never definitively the best at any single thing. Wright acknowledged the reverence Kobe commands amongst fans and players alike, but insisted that admiration doesn't equate to all-time supremacy. Statistically, Michael Jordan outshines Kobe in every meaningful category. The accolades, the efficiency, the MVPs, the scoring titles, the defensive recognition, Jordan surpasses Bryant on nearly every front. So if Kobe is essentially the second coming of Jordan, as many fans believe, then how can he be ranked ahead of him? That's the crux of Wright's critique. Kobe is great, but not the greatest. He isn't the most accomplished Russell, the most dominant Wilt, the most decorated Kareem, the most complete LeBron, the most revolutionary Magic, or even the most iconic Jordan. Bryant was elite in nearly every aspect of the game, but not the undisputed best in any one of them. And to Wright, that's the line. If your case for GOAT status is built on echoes of someone else's greatness, you can't claim the top spot. Kobe Bryant may be a legend, an all-time winner, and a competitor whose work ethic became lore. But in the harsh logic of Nick Wright's criteria, that's not enough to make him the greatest ever. So here's a few things. I think Nick Wrong's assessment that LeBron James is the most complete player is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. How can he be most complete when he doesn't play defense? How can he be most complete when he can't shoot free throws or shoot from behind the arc? I'm confused. Most complete is a joke. But when we talk about LeBron, we say things that are not really tangible. We say things that you have to go all around the world to find. We say things that, require context / excuses, right? That's how we talk about LeBron. Like, literally, Nick Wright believes that what makes LeBron the greatest is his all-around brilliance. So for everyone else, they talked about tangible things. Michael Jordan has 6 rings, 10 scoring titles, unblemished finals record. That pales into comparison the line beneath LeBron's all-around brilliance. In what? In bricking from the 3-point line? Make it make sense. all around brilliance, career longevity, and statistical dominance. The career longevity, I just don't feel that it's something we've never seen before. We've seen guys play 20 plus years. What we didn't see is them have the same ability to pad the stats the way LeBron has, because they were not given the same opportunity to play 40 plus minutes a game. They didn't throw tantrums and demand 40 plus minutes on a game so that they can get to a triple double or get their stats. Statistical dominance. How did LeBron James dominate statistically in the league? Tell me. Longevity. So you can't cite career longevity and then also cite statistical dominance. LeBron James doesn't have statistical dominance outside of longevity numbers. He has one scoring title. Where's the dominance in one? Tell me. Tell me how one scoring title is equal to 10. Tell me how one scoring title is better than 10. Tell me how 4 rings is better than 6. So again, when we talk about LeBron James, it's excuses, it's context, it's bullshit that has nothing to do with basketball, all around brilliance. Career longevity and statistical dominance that basically mean the same thing, because when you talk about his dominance in stats, it's tied to his longevity and nothing else. He's never had a steals title. I think he led the league once in assists. Big whoop-de-doo. Where's the dominance in that? You missed me with that, Nick Wrong. I mean, you always miss me with everything, but LeBron's all-around dominance, career longevity is bullshit, guys. It's the same thing. So they want to give him credit 2 and 3 and 4 times for career longevity. How much credit do we give LeBron James for that? Seriously. We rank him the GOAT because he's played 20 plus seasons demanding minutes. I did a video on this last year. I called it old man minutes. I talked about him complaining to Darvin Ham. He actually showed it in the documentary Starting 5 that he also produced, but he was so quick to brag about this when really he just got Darvin Ham fired, acted like a brat, a petulant child that shouldn't be on the floor anymore, that needs to retire, whose time is up. He's like the third wheel you can't get rid of, that you already committed to going out with and being around, but your date's going so well, you want to get rid of the third wheel. That's the Lakers right now. They want to get rid of LeBron. Everything's going well with Luka. They're in the honeymoon phase, and they want to get rid of him. They don't want to deal with him anymore. Ay. But yeah, I had to point that out to you guys. LeBron James is not better than Kobe Bryant. He isn't better than David Robinson. He's not better than Kevin Garnett. He's not better than Tim Duncan. He's not better than Hakeem Olajuwon. He's not better than so many people. He's not better than Larry Bird. He's not better than Kevin Durant. If you're not even the best in this era, Steph Curry is basically, to me, the undisputed GOAT of this generation, not LeBron James. But what do you guys think? Like, why is Nick Wrong doubling down on LeBron James being second? We need answers, guys. We need to know. I'll read some comments. LeBron James is the super senior of the NBA. Absolutely. He definitely is. He's that guy that's, waiting with a bacon, egg, and cheese outside of the high school, to kick it to the girls coming out of class. 11 games under 500 in the finals. Especially that bubble chip really doesn't count. LaFlop isn't better than Kawhi. Yeah, that's without question. LeBron has 6 finals losses and wears orange purses. What that was his Speedy bag, right? I don't know actually. I don't know if it was the Speedy or I don't even know what bag it was. Lenick needs to stop the lying or he'll outgrow Pinocchio. Yeah. I love it. Nick Wrong is part of the propaganda machine. Absolutely. Guys, before we close out, before I get you guys out of here, thank you. I just also want to thank everybody who's joined the stream. I would love to just remind you guys to do me a favor and smash the like button for me. Run up these likes, guys. You know, I'm dropping fire content over here. I'm just trying to make sure that, you know, I feed the streets and, you know, I bring you guys a little bit of Harlem history over here. So, you know, Nikki Barnes, Frank Lucas, they're disgraced. But I'm doing my job, guys. I've been doing my job and I need you guys to get on your job. I need that from you guys. Get on your job, like the video for me. We've got almost 180 people watching. So I had 180 likes. Let's do it. Smash the like button. Get on your job, guys.
Be mad, I can have a spat, we can have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really that's all it is. Got me on my job. Nah, it ain't never gonna work like that over here. You know what I'm saying? I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice.
I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice. It ain't never gonna work like that over here. Do me a favor, guys. Smash the like button. We'll head over into the next topic. Obviously, LeBron James and Clutch Sports is like imploding all in a matter of 10 days or so. You got Shannon Sharpe. He got fired from ESPN. Nick Wrong is crying all over the place about how LeBron's not loved by Kobe. You got Gilbert Arenas, part of the Clutch crew, recently just went down arrested. Glad he's out. Hope everything goes well with him. And then didn't something else happen with somebody from a Clutch crew? I just know that they're like, it seems like Clutch media members, it seems like the force field that's around LeBron James is breaking down. You know, it seems like his protection is beginning to wane. And Michael Jordan's coming back to the NBA next season to contribute. And, you know, I'm really curious to see how much air is in the room for LeBron James and Michael Jordan. But it's just crazy to me how everything's crashing down for Clutch. And, you know, Shannon Sharpe, he's been very popular. He's been trending for several months, several weeks. He has Nightcap with Ochocinco. He's been fired from ESPN. He's been fired from Fox twice, I believe. Shannon Sharpe, I don't know if he's actually broke, but he is definitely going through some changes. Okay. So he's fired from ESPN. He lost $100 million deal that he was about to ink. Lost most of his sponsorships. And so he's just got now this podcast with Ochocinco. And the rumor is Ochocinco is going to replace him on First Take. That's the rumor, which is interesting to me. I find hard to believe. I feel like Ochocinco has not been banished per se, but he was canceled over 10 years ago. He had a domestic violence incident with his, at the time, wife, Evelyn Lozada. I believe he headbutt her. Her forehead was gashing blood. It was awful. And, you know, since then, there's been very little talk about it. At the time, it was viral. It was going everywhere. He was an abuser. He lost everything. Chad Ochocinco, he paid a steep price for his actions and behavior. He lost everything. And so, you know, in recent years, he's basically come back from the dead. He's been able to make, you know, a good living for himself. And, you know, he was even engaged to that very lovely woman from, Selling Tampa, Sherelle Rosado or something like that. So I think they're actually calling the wedding off from what I heard. I don't really know. But Shannon Sharpe, to be potentially replaced by Ochocinco, I think is really interesting, just given all of his battles. You know, domestic violence is a big deal. And I just question, I'm like, can Shannon Sharpe recover if Ochocinco can come back? So if ESPN is in talks with Ochocinco and the media isn't shouting from the rooftops that he had a domestic violence incident, you don't hear Malika Andrews coming out saying anything against Chad Ochocinco. So if it seems like the skies are clear for him to join ESPN, like, you know, everybody's forgiven him. He's had enough time, you know, to think about his behavior and conduct. I believe he was arrested for that incident. I believe he had to pay Evelyn Lozado a settlement, I believe. But anyway, I just wonder, like, can Shannon Sharpe come back? I mean, there was evidence, damning evidence of Chad Ochocinco headbutting this woman, blood dripping from her forehead. She had a scar on her forehead. She had to get plastic surgery from this maneuver that he did. He did this in the car. And, you know, it's so interesting how many domestic violence situations start, you know, while you're traveling. But what do you guys think? Will Shannon Sharpe recover if Ochocinco can come back? If he can come back, will Shannon Sharpe come back? And I mean, you know, here's this article, Clutch Points. They reported this. This is where I saw this. Will ESPN replace Shannon Sharpe with Chad Ochocinco? That was their question. So one moment. And, you know, we'll go through it real quick. ESPN decided to part ways with Shannon Sharpe due to an ongoing lawsuit that was levied against him, which contained sexual assault allegations. It was reported that Sharpe had signed a new multi-year agreement with ESPN before the allegations, but he had stepped aside from his duties since the lawsuit came down against him in April. He has settled the lawsuit but won't return to ESPN. The situation puts ESPN in an awkward position before the NFL starts. It also takes away a key component of their morning show, First Take. However, speculation has come out about who might take his place before the NFL season starts, and Chad Ochocinco Johnson is the big name. Front Office Sports senior media reporter Michael McCarthy said recently that it's not a far-fetched idea, despite his being partners with Sharpe for their show Nightcap. Think about it. ESPN can try to retain Shannon's audience without Shannon. One source with direct knowledge of the relationship between ESPN and Sharpe told McCarthy, if they slide Chad in there, it might appease them when the NFL season starts, added a former ESPN executive. It would be a smart idea. Johnson is media savvy, dating back to his time as a player when he loved being the center of attention. He's very comfortable on television, already has a show with Shannon Sharpe. The move might make sense business-wise, but the question then revolves around whether Johnson would do it, despite what happened to Sharpe, because they are not just business partners, but friends. Johnson seems up for the job. He stopped by First Take this week to promote EA Sports in Madden 26, and the fit seemed very natural. I can get used to this for the next 6 months, said Johnson on the set in New York City with Stephen A. Smith and host Molly Karam. She suggested he take up his career aspirations with the boss. That boss would be Smith, the executive producer of First Take, who is also the highest paid talent on ESPN's roster at $20 million annually. In addition, Sharpe said on Wednesday night's edition of Nightcap that he was at peace with ESPN's decision to cut ties with him. However, he was put off by the network's decision to cut ties with him before his brother Sterling Sharpe was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on Saturday. It remains to be seen if ESPN will pursue Ochocinco, but the fit is there if they decide to, and the business sense might be too great to ignore. Interesting. I question whether or not Ochocinco is the right replacement for Shannon Sharpe. Ochocinco is not going to be able to be a part of the Brondashian cult. He's not quite a fanboy, so he just doesn't give jumping out of an SUV with a purse energy the way Shannon Sharpe does. So because of that, it's just, I don't see him being the right replacement. You need someone a little bit more animated. You need someone that talks with their hands and does a little bit more, you know, like outward, they have more outward expression like Shannon. Because Chad Ochocinco, I just don't think that he is as entertaining as Shannon Sharpe is. He doesn't know how to be a fanboy like that. He doesn't know how to glaze LeBron James all day and all night. I don't know. If he does get the job, I think that Shannon Sharpe will be writing takes for him on a little sticky note and sending him off to work. Anyhow, what do you guys think? Can Shannon Sharpe recover? If Ocho can do it, can he do it? I would love for you guys to call in. I am going to read some super chats that came through. Really appreciate you guys donating to the channel. It means so much to me. Do me another favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and share the video. This one's really important so that we can grow the sports tea community to be huge. So let's blow it up, guys. Teflon Alexander, Sports Bay is my new favorite journalist. Thank you so much. Praise the Don. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat. LeBron speaks like he never left middle school. I agree with you. I mean, he even said he doesn't think that championships are the A-all, B-all. What the hell is that? What's A-all, B-all? It's end-all, B-all. But it's just like, seriously? LeBron James isn't smarter than a fifth grader, it seems like. We know he doesn't read. Thank you, industry, for complimenting the channel. Really appreciate you. Right Hand Cam, a member, day one. Good morning. I never believed in LeBron. I mean, how can we? What do we have to believe in? Nothing but lies. We can believe that he's going to lie. Almost one thing's for sure, two things are for certain. LeBron James is going to lie. Oh, thank you so much, Angel. Damn, this is an old school time slot. Absolutely. If you guys who were kind of around when I first started going live, for anybody that was with me during those first days, I used to go live at night, sometimes in the middle of the night, but usually every night around 11 p.m. I would go live. And so just really glad to bring this nighttime spot back for you guys. It looks like we have our first caller, so we'll go ahead and take that. Thank you for calling Sports Tea. Talk to me nice. Who do I have on the line? Oops, it looks like I didn't have you connected. I'm so sorry. Thank you for calling Sports Tea. Talk to me nice.
Oh, I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
It's a little low, pretty low right now. It was pretty good before.
All righty. How about now?
Yeah, it'll do.
All righty. Who do we have on the line today?
My name is Dom. It's Kelly from SoCal.
Hey, Kelly. Kelly from SoCal. Talk to me nice. What are your thoughts? Just, feel free to start where you like. If you want to start with the Lakers, LeBron, Nick Wrong, Shay Sharpe, jump right in.
I don't have too much thoughts. This is, usual, obnoxious LeBron, but I just wanted to, jump on the phone and say I'm glad you're streaming. Good to have you back. And just appreciate the show.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the live. I know that the Nikki Barnes segment was a little bit long, but I just wanted to walk you guys through like my thought process and how I sort of see the landscape of the league and what LeBron James is doing. So thank you. Thanks for watching and thanks for calling in. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. But I guess just to talk about the topics just real quick, I guess. This guy is always plotting. He's always, I don't even got another word, but yeah, always plotting something that's stupid. Tweet, whatever it was, him at the Clippers facility. It's just like, what are you doing, bro? Like this stuff, the antics as usual. This stuff is never ending. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Never
So
ending,
yeah,
never
that's
ending
what I
LeBron
saw.
antics and public media stunts.
Exactly. Like, I haven't been a Laker fan in like a long time. Like I just said, I'm from SoCal, but I root for other teams because I can't stand this dude. I'm
But
a
you're a Laker fan, right? So what do you think about Nick Wrong constantly trying to skip LeBron over Kobe, and he's like just doubling and tripling down on LeBron being second? What do you think about that?
You know what? LeBron has just attracted so many fake Laker fans to the franchise. Like I said, I live in SoCal, so a lot of us, grew up on Kobe, and even the generation before mine, we, grew up either on Magic Johnson or obviously Wilt and Elgin Baylor and before them. But yeah, he just attracts so many fake Laker fans. It's just like it's ridiculous. Like you're not a real Laker fan if you can't even appreciate Kobe and what he did for the Lakers. Like this man, built up the Staples Center, right? And this guy doesn't even have the audacity to go to his memorial or his statue revelation. So to get to your question, yeah, it's just plain wrong. Like you say, Nick wrong. Kobe's in my top 5 of all time. That's just me. But yeah, he just attracts so many fake Laker fans, because he keeps team hopping and shit, So yeah, it's just ridiculous. Nick, and these LeBron jock sniffers, as you say.
Yeah,
There's no words to
seriously.
describe these guys.
I don't blame you. Thank you so much for your take. Really just thank you, Kelly. You're awesome. I really appreciate you. Solid takes. Very insightful.
All right, Ms. Dawn, thanks for taking my call,
Of
and
course,
can't wait for the
anytime.
next stream.
Thanks so much.
All right.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye-bye. So, yes, I can definitely take 1 or 2 more calls. I know that it's early and late for some, so feel free to call in, talk to me nice. I'm curious to know what you guys think about Nick Wrong catapulting LeBron James above Kobe Bryant. D Wade actually recently ranked Kobe Bryant above LeBron. He said it was Mike, it was Kobe, then LeBron. So maybe Nick Wrong and the media need to work overtime to make sure that, Kobe stays, they're just trying to keep him. They're trying to keep him under LeBron. They're just trying to keep him as low in the rankings as they can possibly go. And I mean, pushing him outside of the top 10 with that Bleacher Report article that was paid for by the La Media. That kind of, it made them feel like, okay, well, this will cement it. If he's not even a top 10 player, how does he even compare to me? But I'm also curious to know what you guys think about LeBron, if he's Mr. Untouchable. Why do you think that he wants to wreck the league? Do you think that's even true? So I'm curious to know what you guys think about that. Looks like we have another caller coming through. Thank you for calling Sports Tea. Talk to me nice.
Hello.
Is this Sabrina?
Yes, of course.
Hey, Sabrina. How's it going, girl?
It's going great. I love your show today.
Thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying. I know it was a little bit on the longer side. I just wanted to make sure that I got these points because there's things that happen. There's things that LeBron James does, and it makes me remember something. I'm like, wow, this reminds me of this. So I'm glad you like it.
You already know. I know that man he's a disgrace to sports. Period. His last documentary that they write about him, he's going to be sitting on his couch crying about it because he's too stupid, and his yes men around him, none of them got sense enough to tell him he needs to stop it. None of them, and he's not going to own that diddly squat because he thinks he's making a power play. The NBA is going to bring out all those things about the PED and help it along to make sure he doesn't succeed at what he thinks he's going to do. He haven't learned anything from the Puffy situation.
He's not learning anything from that. It's only
he hasn't learned anything.
It's only a matter of time. I mean, I think it was his manager, the general manager or something like that, the wife, the trainer.
The wife, everybody surrounding him, is none of them have the sense enough to tell him he needs to stop because we're all going to blow up in his face. He's not even going to be in the Hall of Fame. Before the 4 years is up after he finally retires, all that nonsense that he's been avoiding is going to come out, especially the PEDs,
Well,
and that's going to keep him from the Hall of Fame.
There's a huge chance, Sabrina, that that's the reason why he doesn't want to retire. So
That's why he doesn't want to retire. I know that. And that new owner, he should just take a hit and get a new coach because JJ Redick is going to do what LeBron tells him to do. And he should be paying more attention to his investment. If LeBron plays lousy, let him sit on the end of the bench with his bum of a son and make him stay on that team for the rest of the season. And we gonna all find out that nobody wants him. He will not be his own GOAT, meaning going on another team because nobody wants him anymore.
I'm with you.
Nobody wants that piece of crap. And teaching his sons to lie just like him. King of liars. It's pathetic. It truly is pathetic. And I feel sorry for none of them, not even his wife, because she was involved in that nonsense in Florida with the Balco lab. Her name was on the script too, collecting the PEDs. All of that's going to come out. And I'm going to be sitting back laughing about the whole thing. I think he was being sedated when his mama was sleeping with his homeboy. If that all comes out, he probably will kill himself. I wouldn't want that to happen, but all his dirty deeds is going to come back.
Think about it, though. Think about it, Sabrina. It did come out. It did come out, and he let it come out. So LeBron James was willing to think about the amount of victims that he's left in his wake. So you go back to the first team. I mean, that 2007 finals team, they were all LeBron James's victims, called scrubs, completely disrespected, even though they were professional athletes playing in the NBA, a league that only houses the 400 best players. So like, you know, everybody was awful. His team was a bunch of nobodies and scrubs. So, you know, those were his first set of victims, the Cavaliers team. I mean, besides his coaches, and then you go
all the coach, every coach.
But then listen, so then you go over to Miami Heat, and then, you know, all of a sudden, Dwayne Wade is his victim. Chris Bosh is his biggest victim on that team. These are people that they weren't able to play their game alongside LeBron James. You know, and then they were made to look like complete dog shit in the media. You know, Dwayne Wade wasn't really the guy. You know, LeBron came to his team and took it over. Dwayne Wade was a shell of himself, his knees, his this, blah, blah, blah. Even though he was carrying him in that first titles run, he would have been the finals MVP.
Oh yeah, and LeBron
MVP. But then you fast forward even further. You know, you had that guy. What was it? Mario Chalmers. Is he the one that told LeBron to stop acting like a bitch?
Acting like a bitch, a B word.
He told him that. Dwight Howard told him like a bitch. And you know, these people, they're nowhere to be found. You know,
oh yeah, he ruined. Look what he did to Russell Westbrook.
Their careers are ruined. What happened to Russell Westbrook? Career ruined.
Yeah, his stock went down. Got to get the bare minimum.
But even before then, he's got Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas just couldn't even get a job after he played point guard with LeBron James.
Man, the man is gonna the Roosters coming home.
But he's got all these victims. So do you really think that all these victims are going to sit quiet? It's just like Lance Armstrong, that guy who was second to him, that couldn't beat him, and he kept trying to ascend, and he couldn't because why? Lance Armstrong was greedy. He couldn't stop coming back to the sport. He couldn't stop coming back to try to win again. The glory, the money, all of these things. He was so greedy. A couple of wins, you cheated, you go about your way, and
exactly.
And you let the next person come up. You know, it's just like Marion Jones. She did the same thing. She was a decorated athlete, decorated star, and she just had to come back and win more. The winning, the power, the money, it's addicting. And so, you know, I think that that's why LeBron James doesn't want to retire, because there could be something major being exposed about him that impacts his legacy and potentially, you know, his livelihood. So, you know,
Yeah,
more to come.
he has no legacy. He has a legacy. He thinks he has a legacy. He has no legacy because he's going to be written about as the biggest failure of all the athletes of all time when everything comes out about him. And he too stupid to realize it. He's such a narcissist that he doesn't realize it, and nobody wants to tell him so. They all want to be on his little payroll and be the yes men and women, whoever his wife as well. His son is stupid. Ronnie should have showed up at that Luka signing.
For sure. I'm with you on that, for sure. All right, Sabrina.
I can't. Yeah. You hit everything on the nail, and I'm gonna watch that documentary.
It's
later
really
on today.
great. It's
This
actually
afternoon, I'm gonna watch it.
So it's actually free on YouTube, guys. So it's free on
Well,
YouTube. I actually, so back when it came out, I went to the theaters to see it, and I actually, like, I had a Blu-ray DVD. I don't know if anybody in the audience
Yeah,
remembers.
no. I still have Blu-rays and DVD players, so no, I still have my CDs. I used to be a DJ, so I still got all my albums and my 1200s and everything.
Amazing.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I got the old stuff.
Well,
The
thank
old
you so much,
technology.
Sabrina, for calling in. Did you want to leave us with any other words?
No, you already know how I feel. I don't need to go on and on. Let you get another caller in. I had a raspy throat right now. Getting over sore throat.
I don't blame you. But thank you so much for calling in. We're actually going to end the live on this phone call here. I really appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you so much, Sabrina. And
Okay, have a pleasant day.
You too.
And a good weekend. God bless you.
Yes, God bless you as well.
Okay, bye-bye.
All righty, guys. I've had so much fun tonight. I know it was a really late night. I know that, for some people it's early, for some people it's late. So if you got a chance to have your cup of coffee with me, I'm really grateful for that. And if, you just wanted to relax and listen on in as you were going to sleep, I really appreciate that too. But do me a favor, guys, and don't forget, smash the like button. Okay, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and share the video with your friends and family. Share it on your social media. Let's blow the Sports Tea Network up really big. I just want to thank the moderators for holding me down in the chat. You guys are amazing. Salute to everybody who joined the stream, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Happy Friday.